Come here. Welcome to the Famous Foxes Aftermath Show, live every Sunday on Leicester Fan TV. Come on, you Foxes.
Yes, welcome to another Foxy Aftermath show. It is another loss, as we know. Let me just switch that round, make that better. There we go. Yes, it is another Fox's loss for Leicester City. What's your views? What's your points on yesterday's game? We will be talking about it in depth in the next half an hour. Jamie is not here, as you know, because he is still just opening the bar. So make sure you get your comments and views in, and we'll catch you all straight after the intro. And my mouse has decided to absolutely kill it. So 1 second, boys, before I can play the intro. It's decided to kill me. 1 second. There we go. Right, 1 second, boys, and there we.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors: Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.
Yes, how we all doing? Morning, chapster. Morning. Much as I would love to say farewell to Vardy, I think he would understand if no one goes to the Ipswich game. No, I really don't understand that. I think you've got to go to the last home game of the season and wish him farewell, if I'm totally honest. Even though this season's been that bad, you can't not, in my opinion. Craig Gilbert says, good morning, Jamie and all us fans. What a shit show yesterday was. Yeah. Nick Moore, welcome, mate. How we doing? Maz, welcome. Ian says, morning, thank you. Thank God only 4 games left. Couldn't end the season. A long repeat of this I saw yesterday. Yeah, exactly. Shocking. Get a few more comments in before we do get started. Maz, like I said, good morning. Great. Where's proper Jamie? He, like I said, he's busy sorting the bar out. He might pop on a bit later, but not right now. Morning, Derek. How we doing? What a load of shit again from Mark, he says. Ben Morgan says, let's see Reedy try and dress this one up. There's no need to dress up, is there? Absolutely woeful. GPM Moore says, rubbish. Gorvat says, thoughts on yesterday's FA Cup final, semi-final. Fair play to Palace. I think that's what you can say. I thought Villa were going to win it, and they didn't. So, you never know. David here says, don't worry, Ruud van Nistelrooy has a blueprint. Yeah. Gray here also says, such a contrasting game from the Liverpool and Brighton game. It was. I think that's where we'll start, because the difference between the Liverpool and Brighton game into this Wolves game was just ridiculous. I think going into the game, starting 11 was just woeful. Honestly, woeful. I don't know what more you can say. Bobby Reed, again, invisible on the pitch. Can't beat a man, can't do anything on the wing. Obviously, I didn't realise at the game that Mavadidi was injured for the rest of the season, so we couldn't use him. But I don't know what else you can say. I think when you've not got an actual winger on the wing, it really doesn't help. You've got lots of Fass, who, again, I don't know what Coley has to do to get back into the team, but there's no doubt about it that Coley, for me, is probably the best centre-back we've got out of a bad bunch, in my opinion. Ricardo Pereira starts, which is good, but then gets subbed off at half-time. Don't see the point in that. I think the biggest thing for me yesterday was the substitutions. You bring off Ricardo Pereira for JJ. You bring off Sumari for Skip, and then you bring Bobby Reed off earlier on for freaking Jordan, are you? Like, Christ. You've got you relegated. It's the end of the season near enough. Just play Monga, man. What is the point? Anthony says Ipswich game sold out. Like I said, I'm not surprised. Derek here says, Leicester sacrificing goal threat to let Vardy get to 500 games. I don't know. He's definitely going to start the next couple of games. You know, we all know that. But I think it's fate to say that he's not going to score another goal for us, because the best chance he had, and probably his only chance he's going to get of scoring a goal, was yesterday, and he missed it. We all said it in the stand. He was going to miss it. We all knew it was going to miss it. And it was a good save, but again, another miss for him. Alex Pegg says, morning, really woeful performance again yesterday. Yep, shocking. Rob says, Cutler's spineless performance, Rude buggered off down the tunnel at the end of the game. The fraud needs to go. Yeah, I guess so. Ian does say, I accept the poor defending, but concerning is the lack of creativity and service for Vardy. Exactly. When you've got Bobby Reed on the wing, and obviously Ayew in the second half, and then you've also got Buonanotte, who for me, people were raving about him. He's a bang average. I'm sorry, Buonanotte does nothing great when it comes to the important moments. He had like, I won't say many chances yesterday to put the ball through, but he just loses it every time. And for me, I'd much rather. I'm glad we went for the better option in Elkanous, who we actually bought. Buonanotte can go back to Brighton. I don't give a crap. He just doesn't do anything special for us anymore. Andy May says, sooner the arrogant clown leaves, the better. I didn't even acknowledge the fans again yesterday. Maybe so. Yeah. Graham Moore says, is Rude going? I don't know. I won't be shocked if he doesn't go until the end of the season. Neil Birchnell says, we really need a statement from the club to see what action has to be taken. They're taking the laws for us fools. Yeah. Gray says, we could still finish bottom. Yeah, we could. Yes, we could. Rob says, Cody is a great defender and lead up, but just has no pace. And what's the use to play Monga for freaking 8 minutes? Exactly. Why not bring him on when Bobby Reed came off? No idea. Mr. B 76 says, morning, Reedy. Want Rude out, but we need to get the right bloke in. If they need time, then we have to be patient. Having that said, that not sure how much longer Top will be around. Top KP will be around. I think that's a comment of the day, really. I think Rude deserves to be out. Can he go out yet? Probably not, because of the PSR. I really don't think he's going to be able to go out unless he leaves, but he's not going to leave when he's got a paycheck coming in. So I don't think we can apparently sack him until July 1st, which is still like a month or two away, which is ridiculous. But you were saying that we need the right bloke in if he goes. I completely agree. I personally don't think you can get any manager in, really, for me, other than Sean Dyche. And for me, that's just the projection level for me, in the fact of it's just gone backwards in a way. If you want to try and push from emotion again, and then try and stay in the league, you've got to find that manager who can be a bit more dynamic in a way, where he can play passing football, but can play balls to the walls at times as well. Ben Morgan says, McAteer, Monga, Evans better than Bobby Reed and Ayew. Completely bloody agree. Morning, Andy. How are we doing? Substitutions didn't make sense. No, substitutions absolutely. I actually want to swear today. I'm not going to, but it's just ridiculous. Aki says we should have stopped in the pub. Yeah, I was steaming up before the game. I'm glad I got steaming, because I didn't want to watch half of that football. I was started to get a bit sober when it came to half time, but it got even worse then, didn't it? Sada also says, morning. Not one player gives a crap. Again, yesterday, no. I think the Liverpool game and the Brighton game, I honestly did feel like they maybe gave a bit of a fight and a bit of a go, but yesterday was just awful. We'll get one more comment before we bring Tom from the Foxes stand in. I was about to say the Foxes Arms then. Chris says Crickby was injured and taken off at half time. What? When is the day that Ricardo Pereira does not get injured? I didn't know that, but like I honestly said this. I think when Vardy leaves at the end of the season, who is your captain? For me, it would have been Ricardo Pereira. But is he ever going to be fit again for us? It just seems like he's going to play 2 games and get injured. And then, great, it says, what's your thoughts on Daka really? Do you know what? People hate him. People absolutely slander him. But the one thing I do actually still rate about him is his work rate and his pressure. I think he does it. He's got the pace. He's got the... In the last 20 minutes, you see him pushing. And for me, that's the only thing he's got now. But for me, he is a crap player. But when it comes to the pressure that he can give, for me, it does work. And then Andrew does say that she's the fan's choice. It is the fan's choice. I wouldn't take him, but it is what it is. Right, let's get Mr. Tommy Boy in. How we doing, mate?
Where do you start, mate? You know, I've just done my review of the show yesterday and put it out, but it's so hard. I mean, what do you talk about? You talk about the same things over and over again. It's so consistently poor. It's a consistent team sheet that we always expect to see out there and line up now. And sadly, it doesn't work. It is broken. It's massively broken. But for some reason, Van Nistelrooy is still sticking with this, thinking this is the right way to go and that this is going to change the flow, as he keeps saying, for next season and building for next season. For me, Van Nistelrooy is not the manager to be leading us into the championship with those performances. And then, like you say, nailed on the coffin, Ricardo goes off again, injured at half time. But he's still got another, 2-year contract left on it? Has he got now, something like that?
I couldn't know. I think it might be 2027, yeah.
It was madness that we gave Ricardo Pereira another long-term contract after he came back. Madness. I'm sorry. This is where the club has let themselves down. Yes, he's a good player and you ought to lose him for free, I think club are worried about, but he's never fit, you know. And I think yesterday just topped off, mate, at half time. You know, Buonanotte went off because of concussion. Bobby Reid, I didn't think he even played yesterday. I didn't realise he was being subbed till he went off. He kept tripping over the ball. I think that's about all he did. But again, that reaction between the fans of taking him off and bringing Ayew on, you could see the disgruntlement there because everybody around me were going, why not put McAtee on? Why not putting Monger on, the young lads who need a chance?
Yeah.
It was a car crash again yesterday, mate. And then summed up our season by Vardy missing a penalty.
Yeah, absolutely quality on it. Again, we all knew it was going to go not go in. Even if we skied it or it was going to get saved, it was never going to go in. It's just our luck. But again, people said, "Oh, if it went in, it was a different game." I honestly don't think it would have been. I still think Wolves were the dominant team. We couldn't touch them. We couldn't get the ball off them. Just shows you the difference between who's staying up and who's going down, really, because even at times when we won the ball, we just gave it back to them. They're only like not world-class player, but that level of player got 2 assists and a goal yesterday. And it just shows you the 2 assists, for me, just show you the difference in level between us and them, because we can't put a ball in like that to Vardy. We can't. They see stuff that we can't even do.
But as I just said in my review, the biggest thing for me watching the game yesterday, every time we lost the ball, Wolves pounced. They didn't go backwards. They went forwards. There was no negativity, I'm going to go backwards here because I've lost it. If that chance was to move the ball forward as quick as possible and run with it, that's what Wolves were doing. They got the ball and went forward. If there wasn't a pass on at the edge of the area, they shot. They didn't hang around. They didn't think, I'm going to get trouble here. I need to pass it another 20 times before we have a shot. They took a chance and had a pop shot at our goal. Why Leicester can't do that? The amount of times we got to the edge of the area and then it was backwards again. Sideways, backwards. Wolves broke with the ball with intent to do damage to us yesterday. They got the ball, they won it in the middle of the park, often did it in Samara for fun, or they would lose it. And then every time they got to the edge of the area, it was either down the wings, slid, or if they couldn't, they just had a shot on our goal. it was a breath of fresh air to see a team that we were just thinking, well, we'll take a chance here, we'll have a shot. It goes in it, great. It doesn't. They had no fear about playing Leicester. Well, why would you? You're playing a team who are relegated. And this is my biggest thing yesterday. For me, Leicester should have been going into this game, knowing they're already down, the pressure completely off them, playing for Jamie Vardy for the last 5 games we've got had left, that we want to show we care about him and we want to give him the send-off deserves. Players playing for their lives for next season that they're going to be in around this football club. The ones who aren't going to be here shouldn't be near this squad of players. Your Wout Fazes, your Mads Hermansons. I'm sorry, Mads is going. Give Slarchik a run of games between now and the end of the season to start integrating him into that first team environment again. Because we all know he's a very good goalkeeper, Slarchik. He proved that when he played last season 3 or 4 games when Mads was injured and then the cup games. He's a very good goalkeeper. If you're not going to have Mads here next year and he's going to be one of your assets to sell, we're going to have to sell, then play the goalkeeper is going to play the end of the season. There was no pressure yesterday and the boys still didn't turn up. This is my biggest thing. So teams normally who are relegated, and I've seen it with Leicester being relegated, as soon as you're down, you start winning football matches. We did it this season, went down at the King Power the first year, 2003, 2004, when we came back up and Mickey Adams, we won about 3 of the last 4 games because the pressure was off us. But for some reason now, this squad is so, confidence gone, but they don't even seem to care now. That's the biggest thing. There's no care on that football pitch and there's no hunger. That's my biggest problem. Not showing any passion. And then to top it off, Top wasn't even there again to watch it. What question marks? What does he want to do? If he was that bothered as an owner, you would think that the leader would be there to guide you through the hard times. I don't think he wants it anymore.
No, again, there's so many topics that have to be spoken about this season. Again, I don't think it's all down to Rude. I don't think it's all down to Rudkin at times, but a collective of many, many issues this season has made us in the position we are. But like you said, normally when you're down and out, you normally stop winning games. And with this season, even the likes of Southampton aren't winning games. Like like they're that bad that no one wants to even get a win while they're down. But then on another note, that Wolves were 5 in a row wins, and now they're on 6. There was never going to be an easy game against Wolves with the pressure offers because they've just won 5 in a row. Now they're on 6 in a row, and they could get higher than, I don't know who they're at now, but they could be a lot higher in the table than they originally even thought. But it's just shocking. We'll bring up a few substitutions or a few player ratings, because there was some players yesterday for me that I think over the last couple of weeks or even months that I've kind of noticed more that they aren't as good as I thought they would be. When Rude first came in, we saw Ndidi and Sumari together. I thought they were quality together the first 2 games, but the last couple of months, I mentioned it yesterday, Ndidi has really fell off a cliff, because there was I can remember one challenge where he had the ball on him. He got the ball taken off him, and he still couldn't get that ball back. And it just doesn't look anywhere near. I know we've had him for 6, 7, 8 years now. I think I don't know how many years we've had him, but he just doesn't look anywhere near the quality of what he was. And maybe it's because of his injury. I don't know, but why are you playing him now when realistically, yes, he'll probably be still good enough for the Championship, but he's just like a 1% of what he ever was.
And Ndidi's never come back from his injury that well, in my opinion. Ever since he had that nasty injury, he never came back. Last season, completely different position he was playing in. He had a bit of a freedom about him to break into the box as a number 8, not a number 6. Sumari and Ndidi doesn't work. I don't know why Rude keeps persisting with it. I presume because he thinks they're just 2 big lads in the middle of the park that might win the ball back. But that's fine. Who's the ball playing midfielder? Because we saw it again yesterday. And did him wings it, passed it to Sumari then, sadly he didn't have the greatest game again yesterday. He just goes backwards, where you're looking for the Winks kind of a player to start getting the passing going and moving us forward at the park. And at the moment it's so backwards and sideways, because you've got 2 very defensive midfielders. I'm sorry, they both are. They are both defensive midfielders. People would say what they want about Sumari can bomb forward. Yeah, he can, but he doesn't do it enough. No. For me, you've got to give your defending midfield a player that plays. If you look at the great teams Leicester had over the years, Drinkwater had Kante. Kante got the ball. Yes, he was good at drawing forward, but he normally just gave it to Drinkwater when you do the hard bit, you do the bit with it passing. Neil Lennon was the enforcer at Leicester in back in the day. He got the ball with Savage, and it was given to Izzet to set the play up. You can't have two defensive midfielders in the Premier League and expect to win football matches because there's no creativity in our side now. And that says all to me about the manager. If he's fed up with the player, and now he won't be playing, when you're in a time where you think you need to build for next year. And for me, Harry Winks will be here next year because no one's going to go and pay him the money he's on in the Championship or in the Premier League. He's not at the greatest of Premier League. And someone just put in there, Winks and Skip. I think that will be the midfield partnership next year, whoever comes in, because they both can run. That there's an opportunity there. Again, it all depends if you can get Ndidi and Simura off your books.
Yeah. No, I agree. We'll bring on to one more player because I think out of the team, I think they're the two people that I really mentioned a lot yesterday, and that was Bobby Reid. Because while I didn't notice Mabadidi was actually out injured until we got to the game because I was steaming, but I really didn't understand what he was even doing on the pitch. A lot of people said that when he went down to get injured to go off, that he wasn't injured. He was more just embarrassed that the two big chances he could have had, he completely messed them up. But for me, when your likes of Mabadidi's out, why aren't you playing the likes of Monga now you're relegated? Why aren't you playing the likes of McAteer? It just that sort of thing now baffles me to why. Like, even I'm thinking, I was thinking Rude maybe to stay for the first 10 games next season just to see if he can do it. Because a lot of fans are saying most managers could bring us back up, but after seeing the likes of them substitutions, I am starting to question what is he doing, because bringing Bobby Reid off for Ayew just doesn't give you any confidence, does it?
Well, it's just terrible substitutions, and this is the biggest thing with Rude. He could say he's protecting the younger lads, but for me, that's not protecting the young lads. If you're not giving them the chance, what does that say to a young lad again? He keeps saying he's all about young players having their chances, but Mongo was a perfect opportunity yesterday to go, do you know what, go and have 45 minutes of football, mate. We've got nothing to lose. We're 1-0 down away from home. You've got nothing to lose by bringing a 15-year-old, just giving just over 45 minutes of game time. Gives him a bit of confidence. You know what I mean? It says to the rest of these all experienced players, great, kids being brought on in front of me now because that's how bad it's got. But you've had your chances this year, Ayew. He's had plenty of chances this year, and all I see him do is fall over and try and win free kicks, and half the time the referees aren't giving it to him. McAteer, he against Brighton was brilliant. I thought he had one of his best games in the Premiership against Brighton. He was very attacking, very aggressive with the ball. And again, he got an injury and was dropped. It didn't play against Liverpool, but did play against him because he had an injury. But for me, if he's fit, he should have started yesterday, because the performance against Brighton, he deserved to be back in that team. And no one against Liverpool deserved their place anyway.
Yeah.
I think the only one against Liverpool was Luke Thomas. So, look, the substitutions are just awful. Bobby Reid should be near the first team for me. Again, madness.
You wouldn't even be near the first team in the Championship.
No. Again, madness that we gave him, a 2-year contract, is it? Or 3-year contract? 3 years, I think we gave Bobby Reid 3-year contract. So he's still got 2 years. Ayew's got a year left still. You've got players who just are not good enough to be at this football club for me if you want to set your standards. And Bobby Reid yesterday was just another, like I said,
but tripped
over the ball and run down the line was the worst bit he could have done.
Do you feel like, I'm not going to try and go back and blame Cuppa for these, but would you say this is maybe where it maybe started to go wrong, in the fact that we bought Bobby Reid, Ayew, Edouard in? I feel like, for me, it might not be just down to Cuppa, because obviously we brought them in as well, but we did bring it like El Kanous in. But for me, it starts from the back, and when people have said get rid of the deadwood from last season, you got rid of it, and now you basically just brought back deadwood into the club.
I think the club went down the lines of, I think Steve Cooper, in my view, went down the lines of we needed some experience around the squad. You had a lot of young players, Mabadidi, Abdul Fataru, who hadn't really played any senior football in the Premiership, if you get what I mean. They played a lot, half decent stand in the Championship. The Premiership, we all know, it's a different kettle of fish. It's a different ball. You have to be able to be physical, and you've got to be able to go at your man. Sometimes you need some experience around the squad with these games, but it also felt like it was cheap. You know, if you look at it, are you 3 million or 4 million we paid for him? Reed was a free transfer. You know, again, people say, oh, you got nothing to lose with a free transfer. Well, we have, because we're still paying him, 45, 50k a week he's got to be on. As much as people say Cooper Simons, Paul, Cooper would have had these options, you know, like we said before, and I think if you listen to Rob Tanner, he puts out our scouting policy very much of, where do you want a player? Okay, here's A, here's B, here's C. They're the three options. If you don't get A, you go for B. If you don't get B, you go for C. Again, I just think the whole club, again, and Rudkin is obviously the one who gives out the contracts and gets involved with the end product. He's not the one finding the player, so I will never blame John Rudkin for the networking. He doesn't find them. He's the one at the end going, I want that player, go and sign him. He then goes and does the deal. You know, the Edouard deal was a panic buy in my head. That is, we need a striker. Palace put a feeler out there. Who can we get a striker off? You've got Premier League experience. Bang. Well, Palace want to get rid of Edouard. They're only getting rid of him because they don't rate him. That's the worst thing about it. If a player leaves a Premiership football club, it's not because he's a very good player. It's either because he's young, like Buonanotte, and that team wants him to go and get experience in the Premier League, what he did at the beginning of the season on the Cooper, but not much in the Rude, or they're rubbish and they're just a shit shower of shit. And
I think they were just cast-offs, weren't they, from other teams that didn't want them.
But the Edouard one, but no one, they did not rate him. And like they thought, let's get rid of his 90 grand a week wage bill, and that frees up another place for them in the Premier League because they're not paid for it. Obviously, he's going to go back there end of the season, but the signing.
Watch him start firing for them.
Is it not one question to you, Reedy? We went to sign one player in that January transfer window, Calabari. He can't even get in the squad. He can't even get on the pitch. Why are we signing players in January for money? Yes, it was only, 3 million. But why are we signing players who's not improved us? The whole point of view is that if you need to go and sign a player now, you're going to sign a player to improve us. We were all crying out in January for a striker. That was our weak point. We all knew we weren't scoring goals and that we either needed to go two up front or change the system where it was one. Vardy wasn't being having to play every single game up to a point. But no, we went and signed a right back who doesn't even get in the team, and we've only seen play 2 or 3 games. That seems to me there's a massive problem at our football club, even more than we think.
I would mention to the fact of, I think one of the biggest areas of weakness at that time was a right back, in the fact of JJ was just conceding goals left, right and centre from his role. But again, when I've seen William Koulibaly play against Arsenal in the first half, I think he played well with Man United at some point as well. But for me, he didn't look bad. He has pace. He has a bit more physicality. He can get up the pitch. I don't know what is wrong with him, but I feel like maybe when he came in, he was. I think he was announced as backup, or I don't know, an impact. He was called. I think the word was impact, which means does he come off the bench? Does he do this? He doesn't even do that. But I will say one shining light going from yesterday into next season. It's what Chris Wall said, Ben Nelson. I've not seen too much about him, but apparently Oxford fans are going crazy about him.
Well, he scored yesterday. I'll put on my Twitter that he walked straight into the Leicester team next year. And why shouldn't he? He's been in the Championship now. He played most of the beginning of the season. Obviously had an injury and came back to Leicester. And then he's gone back there and, former Leicester player Gary Rowett has gone, yep, you're good enough. Let's get you straight back in the team. And it's funny that they've started winning football matches since Nelson's gone back in the team, because they went through a patch when he left, he was injured. They weren't winning many games. And, he's gone back into the team. They've suddenly started to win games again and keeping clean sheets. Yesterday was a good win for them. It meant they secured their place back in the Championship for another season. They beat a team who were in the playoffs, who've been flying the season in Sunderland as well.
I won't do that. I won't do that.
But again, this is what we keep forgetting. You've still got people like Harry Suter out who.
No, I agree. I think it could be a compliment. But
you go, but then you've got someone Ben just put better than Vestergaard, Faz, Cody, Suter. Again, it's one of those. You've got a lot of players who are going to have to ship out before we buy, and that's going to be another thing. It's all right talking about, and I said, yes, there's money from us going down. We're going to have 42 million automatically from where we finish in the league. you're going to have another 39 million parachute payments. That only goes so far. You know what I mean? That's got to keep your books looking tidy. I mean, mate, if Van Nistelrooy is still in the summer, I think you'll find a lot of disgruntled fans, and I think a lot of fans have given up on sort of renewing season tickets because they don't want to be there. You know, now.
Yeah. I'm trying to look through the comments before we do finish, but a lot of people are saying you've got players like Hamza, Will Alves are all we all sent off to the Championship because do you think in hindsight that could have been like you're going down next season with us, so go and get some experience there? I don't know. Or was it just more we just didn't want them on the books because we had too many players for that role?
For speak to people, Hamza was, I want to go and play football. I don't think he wants to just sit there not even playing football, what he wasn't going to do for Leicester. Again, another one that, you know, Ruud doesn't rate as a Premiership player. And I'll probably agree with that. I don't think Hamza Chowdhury is a Premiership player. But in the Championship, he puts himself about, he sticks up for himself. And you know what you're going to get with Hamza Chowdhury. He knows how to play football because he's done it under Enzo. That's why Sheffield United went and got him, because he can play the inverted fullback, he can play right back, midfield. Again, you keep Hamza Chowdhury around the squad next year because I think he can do a job for you in that league. Ben Nelson, like I say, he's going to go and do a job. Again, people talk about it. We let Tom Cannon go. He hasn't done much for Sheffield United. First part of the season was banging him in for Stoke. So
look, a lot of them were penalties as well, I think.
Yeah, but it's going to be an interesting summer, massive interesting summer, because I think what we all want now as fans, and you tell me if you're wrong, we want to know what is going on with Van Nistelrooy. Top needs to make that call before in the next week or so for me. Keep saying here, because that is the biggest one the fan wants to know. Is Van Nistelrooy going to be the man to lead us forward? Most of the fans will say no straight away. There's a few that still think Van Nistelrooy should be given a chance. I think his record speaks for itself, and I know it's Premiership, but I've not seen any improvement bar a few performances, and there were a few performances where we played well, but I don't think he's a man to take you on a Championship campaign, in my opinion.
I think the only thing I know about Ruud is the fact is I think if we sacked him at this point, we'd breach PSR. So I think we can't get rid of him either way until July 1st, if I'm not mistaken.
But isn't that scary? We're in that situation.
That is very scary. That is very scary. That is very, very scary.
That's the worst bit. We're worried to sack a manager because we're a football club that should never have been in that position. Really. I'll leave this on my last note. I walked out the ground just as the third goal went in, and as I was walking back up to where I was parked, about 15 minutes away, I walked with some Wolves fans, and they went, "You Leicester?" I was like, "Yeah." And their words to me was, "How has it gone so wrong? How's a club what was so well run, so well organised, the envy of everybody who was trying to be a Leicester, finishing in the top 6 every year, how's it gone so wrong?" And my words to them was, we have a chairman now who is not his dad and hasn't got the guts to make the tough decisions when they needed to be made. And that's what I said to them. And even other football fans cannot work out how it went dramatically wrong.
Yeah, no, I get you. Tom, appreciate you coming on. We'll do one last thing just because it's a funny thing to say. Chaps has asked who's your man of the match.
I'd give it Luke Thomas again, if I'm honest with you.
I don't think he brought a foot wrong, to be honest.
No, I think Luke Thomas against Liverpool's my man of the match, and probably yesterday again, bar a couple of little mistakes. But again, I thought he was solid on that left-hand side. And for me, he's someone you build around for the future because he has played in the Championship. He's now having a couple of, a run of games at the back end of this season. And he, again, he's a young lad who can improve. And I think Luke Thomas, for me, is the only one who really actually showed he cared yesterday by his performance.
Yeah, fair enough. Cheers, Tom. Appreciate you coming on. Where can we find you again?
On the Foxes Stand, YouTube and Twitter.
There you go. Cheers. See you in a bit.
Cheers,
and we'll
mate.
catch you hopefully in the next show. See you in a bit. And there we go, guys. Appreciate another show coming on and getting your views in. Again, absolute shit show. But it is what it is. We are Leicester fans. We will go to the games no matter what. I'll be there at Southampton. I'll be there at Forest to get an absolute slapping. And them showing us what we could have had and we didn't get. So you never know. There you go, guys. Appreciate you coming on, and we'll catch you all on the next show. See you later.
The Leicester City machine is on the march again.
Leicester Fan TV presents a variety of content like fan discussions, match analysis, and engaging with Leicester fans worldwide. We want your views live, thanks to our sponsors, Everard's, Pucker Pies, Hologram, Take Me, Newbie & Co, and the Fox's Arms.
Want to watch more content like this? Hit the like button. Give us your views. Hit subscribe to Leicester Fan TV and make sure to follow Leicester Fan TV on all socials.